Hello.
G'day, Texan Ads here. Ooh, two nights in a row, Texan Ads action. Lucky listener, lucky viewer. Get over yourself. Hope you're doing well, no matter where you are in the world. Of course, it's Texan Ads from UnityTradingGroup.com. If you dig in what we're picking up, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that little thumb and get instant updates every time we go live like this. We're showing you in real time. We're recording this just moments before we post it. You see exactly what we're seeing in the market. BTC, we'll look at LTC, ADA, and the reg markets as well. I guess no real surprise with where we are here now on BTC. I did get caught out. I wouldn't say caught out, but I was a little surprised by the weakness in ETH. And we'll talk about that in just a moment as well. But BTC, we spoke about this. Obviously, the 23 resistance was going to be the part to make. And what I said last night and what we kind of both agreed on was that when we have these breaks below resistance, what we often find is a break below a consolidation, a retest before the move down. Now, while we didn't quite get the exact retest of that trend line, if we went, drew our trend lines on the wicks, I guess it'd probably be a little more valid. But what ads has there, I certainly prefer a combination of mostly candle bodies as opposed to wicks. We pretty much had that. We had this consolidation. We had the retest essentially of this important level, and then we've moved to the downside where we said that 30K level was going to be pretty important, being the fact that it was the higher quality demand zone ads.
Exactly right. And that's still holding true. We haven't gotten there quite as yet, and it is approaching that trajectory. It looks good to me, to be honest, to really get to that point. We might have a relief at the moment as we see we are at the previous level of support, just holding on to dear life there. But if we're looking at the overall trend, we are making lower highs, of course, and we are moving in that direction. We've had that retest at the 23.6 as it stands now, and that was projected there. And it's good to see that steamroller is playing nice. Whether or not we bounce here for a little flurry or a little dead cat to the upside before we continue on and head down to 31, that remains to be seen. But in any case, I think we'll get to that point, Ty.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Like, if we're looking from an MA standpoint, where it stands now on the 1 day, we have broken on the. If we put on our EMA fan, if we've got it there, ads, and this is where something, and this is a free tool by the way. If we look at the 1 day time frame, we're kind of well and truly now sitting below that 200 MA. And when, as a little bit of a tip, I use MAs quite regularly, where you can see how often that they are respected in terms of being levels of support or resistance, depending on what side of the MA we are on. You can type in moving averages, Unity Trading Group. We have a whole video and guide devoted purely to this tool and trading with MAs. Now, if we go to when I see price action trending below the 2 day, my tip is go to the next one up. So we would go to the 2 day.
2 day. It's not even on there.
Press that 2D, bruh.
2D.
On your keyboard.
Oh, can you actually do it that way?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Yeah, buddy. So you can see where we are now with that 2 day, where it has been respected in the past. We know there's going to be a little bit of liquidity between here and 30K. I think we've retested it in the past beforehand. We know that there are buyers around this level because of these pin bars or these liquidity, these big wicks indicating a good bit of liquidity in these areas. So I think we'll probably see a little bit of a consolidation around this region before we make a decision on where we head from here. No doubt there will be buyers at this 30K level. But what concerns me a little bit is if we go to the weekly now ads, the 1W, we start looking at the levels below where we are, and it lines up very well with the lower demand zones that we have set at around that 24K level, and also aligns with our 50 or our 100 MA at this level. And like what we said last night, we're not saying that we're going to get there. We're saying that you need to be prepared for every eventuality. So there's every likelihood that we could get there, especially with the market the way that it is now. And that's why you would look to dollar cost average in, or you would look to, just sit on your hands for the moment if you're unsure of where things are, and wait for the market to sort of give you an indication of where we're going to settle or where we might revert. But no doubt looking at what we have here to the left-hand side, and this particular level here is going to be significant.
Absolutely it is. And That's where most of our trading has taken place over the last, well, over
Yeah,
that last period in terms of months. You're looking at
totally.
1, 2, 3, 4, even 5 months in that zone between
Yep.
38 and let's say 30, pretty much. So you're looking at an $8,000 swing. That's why we're getting held up here. That's
Yep.
why in general sense of things in terms of the market structure, that's why we're getting held up for so long at this point. And more than likely, we will get held up here for a little bit longer in terms of this time frame, the 4 hour.
Yeah.
We can see 30K very, very clearly there. And more than likely, when we do get there, we'll be quite oversold on this time frame. Even the 1 day can do with a little bit of a relief rally when we do get to the 30, 31K tie.
Totally, and looking at our RSI on the 4 hour, the 12, the 1 day, the 2 day, even we're very much in an oversold condition. So, which is probably the most oversold we've been in quite a little bit of time on the higher time frames, which has to says something. But again, as we said last night, you can discount the importance of retail traders in this space, or you can respect that there's a lot of retail traders out there, just like what you and I were, the people listening to this and ads and everyone else, that when we first started trading, we were very reactive emotionally to anything in this market. So don't discount the power that retail traders can play on this market. We saw exactly what can happen with retail traders through GameStop, so this is a sort of a bigger market than that. But when people freak out over Elon Musk tweets, the market tanks. So, be prepared for every eventuality.
Very
All
good
right.
points, mate.
Thank you, sir. Let's get on to FUSD, my favorite coin. As I said last night, or as we sort of discussed last night, what we were looking at was this triangle formation where we're expecting something like this perhaps to play out. And as I said, and happy to be proven wrong here, I thought we would have this sort of move to the upside and retest this previous high before making moves back up towards that mid 3Ks. I was wrong. Happy to be proven wrong. I've still been accumulating at this level, and I know I'm down on some of my buys, but I don't really care because we've got that investor mindset. So where ads has here is certainly the most relevant part or space for me is around that sort of 2-3 level, and then I'll be looking back down towards that 1900 1890 sort of level where I got to pick up on that pin bar. So that's kind of where we head now at the moment. Where we could be in a little bit of a range here, and which we also spoke about last night. This could be our range for a little while while the big guys can continue to accumulate. So that's just what we've got to look out for.
Absolutely. And we're not calling anything too early. We're still on the trajectory of this downwards, or this demand level here, which is most relevant around 2380, 2350-ish. There we are. Not until we do break this and come down and make some lower lows will we adjust our bias to look towards 1900, 1850. It really comes down to what the market does or how it reacts at this point. It has been on the same sort of downward sloping trajectory as BTC, but like Ty said, we did have that formation in its favor. It never always plays out. Of course, this is trading. Emotions run high in these markets, so a formation not playing out within a downtrend isn't really surprising. But in this instance, look, Ty is pretty much on the money, where on the grand scheme of things, if we're looking at the daily, and I did speak about this on BTC a couple of days ago, just to a week ago now, if we're looking at a daily time frame, this whole instance of the chart, this whole structure is oversold. We are trending below the 50. So we can expect 2300 to come to fruition, of course. And if we are to head further down, we'll be looking, like Ty said, about 19, or even some of this structure to the left-hand side, if we are to continue this trajectory to the downside on a higher time frame, excuse me. But in the immediate term, let's see what we do at 23, shall we?
Absolutely, sir. And I think that's a little bit of a lesson for me to stop having my rose-colored glasses on. I guess I probably was a little preemptive, I suppose, looking at that formation and going, oh yeah, ETH is bullish and stuff because I'm a bit of an ETH fanboy. But like what we said, we can't let our emotions play with this, and that was a lesson for me. And we'll just look to accumulate more as if and when we head lower.
In total fairness, however, it was a valid pattern.
Totally.
It was a completely, utterly valid pattern in the
Yes.
sense where we've got this ascending wedge, and of course we did have a level of demand here that we had retested twice in the past at that point. So it was okay, and it did look okay for the risk to reward.
Yeah, I think probably where I should have been a little bit more objective was seeing is that we didn't really make any higher highs in that particular level. I probably would have liked to have seen a little bit more of a rally around this area and perhaps making like a little bit more of a valid double top rather than this lower high, even though it was only just like marginally lower. But anyway, lesson learned. It's we move on. So happy to be proven wrong in that case.
Exactly.
All right, let's have a quick look at LTC, and then we can get into any of the alts you might want to have a look at in the reg market. Like what we said last night, LTC expectedly going to follow the BTC pattern more so than what ETH does, and here we are. So we spoke about the 150 level, and we ultimately spoke about sort of that 127 level. If this couldn't hold, you can sort of see the structure to the left-hand side would play along with that. If we don't hold this 61 level, then I think it's pretty self-explanatory where we would head from here.
Absolutely, and the reason why I drew in these fibs, I think it was last night, from left to right, was because there wasn't a clear level of demand really to draw in that was, substantial enough to give us an area of movement if we were to head down. So the 38, the 50, and the 61 made the most sense to us last night. 61 at 152 was what we spoke about last night as well. If you haven't watched last night's video, do go back and check it out. Because you can see the TA being drawn on the fly pretty much. But in this instance, we have made a lower low in terms of this structure. This structure is still descending. We are trending below the 50 RSI, but we could see a little bit of relief here just back up to the 50, but not looking too fantastic at the moment. I think the 78.6 would be the immediate area that I would look towards at the moment.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, do we want to look at any more alts or do we want to get into the FX stuff?
I'd like to look at the BTC dominance, to be honest.
Totally. And if you're watching, we've got a free Discord where we talk and chart with heaps of people every single day as well. So you can go to unitytradinggroup.com or just look at the links below in the comments, just underneath here in the description, and come in for free. If you want us to chart a certain coin or certain things like what we do most nights, let us know in the Discord and we're happy to chart it up for you.
Absolutely. Requests are encouraged, to be honest. All right, so in terms of the BTC dominance, I've been looking at this loosely, maybe once a week for the last couple of weeks, but the dominance is very important. And the reason why I say this is because we're at pretty much a critical time. So if I draw in the trend-based fibs, from left to right, swing low to high, you can see that we're getting caught around the 78.6. Trends in general, they tend to go to the 78.6 level, and that is the last point of support in terms of this movement to the downside. That's why you're seeing it getting so relentlessly held up at this point. Tomorrow's going to tell the best story, because the price action over this evening, the volume that comes into this market with the US opening, in terms of the US markets opening, will give us a decision on whether we see the dominance move up for a recovery towards a 61.8 at 43.5 or 43.15, or we see it head back down to our level of demand at 40%. So in this instance, you're looking at a oversold level of steamroller. We're looking at an oversold level of RSI, and for the third thing, we've got the 78.6 at a level of support from swing low to swing high. If this does come up and retest the 61, the 50, the 38, if we do get that push to the upside, we will see the alts recover. So the likes of ETH, ADA, BNB, EOS, Solana, XRP, all those even LTC will start to recover, and you'll see some of those BTC pairs, not so much the USD pairs all the time, but some of the BTC pairs will start to recover because some of the dominance will be stripped out of BTC and back into the altcoins to push them up further. So this, I just want to bring this to all your attention because we are at a critical time, and if we do have the upside, we could have some alts start to recover. Not run, not pump, not give us crazy gains. I'm just saying we could have some recoveries on the cards for this evening or even the rest of the week, Ty.
Yeah, definitely not something to be ignored, and it's a really good indication of the strength of BTC overall. We know that BTC often leads this market, so when you've got a little bit of an overview of what the main cryptocurrency is doing, it may give you a little bit more of an insight into what the rest of the market may do in its wake.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into the FX markets. Of course, this is a regulated market. Anything that we do say or chart up here is purely just educational, in our opinion only. If you want more information, have a chat to your own financial advisor.
Thank you, sir. In the DXY, we look at this every single night. We've been charting this and keeping tabs on where we think this will end up. We've been looking at this formation over the last couple of weeks. We did have that push to the upside, so a good result in the sense of that. We've been looking at this 90.235 area for quite some time, and the reason for that is we drew in this level before all this happened, but you can see the support and resistance flips, or the support and resistance in general at the 90.235 area for the most part on the left hand side in terms of liquidity and the price action that's occurred at that point. So we've been struggling to stay above it, and you can only bend a stick so far till it breaks. So if we have another go at this tonight, it could be the time for it to start to retest the 90.6 and of course head up to 90.8. It's going to take some hours to give us that answer, however, but it's looking okay. In judging that, you're looking at an ascending market structure as well. And we're looking at higher highs being printed every time we do attempt to move to the upside. So bang, bang, and something like that could be the next movements to the upside. So looking like that could be okay for the immediate term. We are just, flirting, I guess is the word for it, with the 50 RSI, just poking the head up above that point, and of course, steamroller not getting towards that lower area, but we are looking at a mid-term reversal point, looking like we are printing that on the indicator so far. So not financial advice, of course, but looking like we might have a little bit of a bounce. If we look at gravy train, we are indecisive. So in this instance, we have been bearish for majority of this movement, or this time, I guess the last month or two, the last 31 days. However, at this time, we are in the grey area. So the grey area tends to look for areas of reversal or areas of indecision, and that's definitely what we're seeing at this point. So like I did say, we might see this green start to appear and we might see this movement to the upside. However, we are not counting our chickens just yet. We'll wait and see, and we'll revisit this tomorrow night.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it as always. Nice little relief rally would be good at the moment. So fingers crossed we'll get that in the next couple of days. But as always, unitytradinggroup.com. See all the links below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Come and hang out with us every single day, and we look forward to seeing you in the next update.
Catch you later.
Bye-bye.